Are you worried about child anxiety over a parent breakup? Well, you're not alone. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I work with families all over the world, trying to help them bond better together with their children and with other people in their families too. Family relationships, when broken, can be difficult, but there is hope, and that's what we're talking about in this video. In this video, we're going to be discussing what anxiety feels like to a child when their parents have a breakup, and then what not to do in that circumstance and what to do in that circumstance. Nobody wants to experience a breakup in a relationship, and children especially are impacted by their parents having breakups. Children base their whole lives, their whole foundation on the stability of their home and family life. So suddenly, when parents have a problem and they decide that they have to call their relationship quits for some reason, the children only see how it affects them. I mean, they want to be caring, they can see feelings and emotions from their parents, but they know that suddenly they don't have the same foundation. They don't have unity as part of their foundation now. Now they can have unity with one and then maybe unity with another, but it's not going to be full unity. They will now have this separation in the relationships in the family, which feels alien, it feels uncomfortable, it feels like hiding things, it feels like not being able to completely know each other, because their relationship with the one parent now is going to seem like it's hidden away when they're with the other parent. They can't sit and talk about it too much because they don't want to bother the other parent or make the other parent feel jealous or something like that. And so suddenly they start hiding the relationships that they're having with their other parents when they're visiting the opposite parent. That's very difficult. They also have their own feelings that they're experiencing during this time, and parents usually try to be sensitive to their children's feelings, but it's really hard to be able to understand what it really feels like when suddenly you have people around you that don't like each other anymore or don't get along well with each other anymore. That's a big burden to carry. In fact, sometimes children create delusions or ideas in their head like maybe I can bring them back together, maybe I can make everybody happy, or worse, maybe it was my fault. And obviously, it's not going to be their fault. It's very rare that it would be a child's fault that parents would break up. Although I do know circumstances where a parent breakup had happened because of a child, and when the child actually unified with the parents, it did fix the parent relationship. So I do know that it can have impact, but in most circumstances, it is not the child's fault. The child usually does not see the warning signs of it coming either. So they're oftentimes shocked, disappointed, dismayed. There's a lot of emotions that they're dealing with. Sometimes they even feel slightly rejected, even though both parents are doting on them, trying to make sure their emotional needs are met during a hard time. But when the parents are dealing with their own emotional trauma or drama, then the child also feels like they are alone as well. This is the type of anxiety circumstance that can actually derail a child for sometimes years. Now, we don't want our children to have to go through that, and we know not every marriage or relationship can be saved. When at all possible, most parents, I think, try to work it out for the child and keep that stability there, because the social science data totally proves that there are great gains when parents do stay together. Intact families produce better results with children. But if you can't, you can't. So then what do? At that point, you've got to make a plan for how to handle what's going on inside of the child. All right, so let's talk about what not to do. What do you want to stay away from? And then what do you want to do to help that child with their anxiety that they are experiencing because of this breakup? But before we get to that, do you see that button that says subscribe? Click that button. That button will open a door of self-government for you and your family so that you can get more help for other issues that you might be facing. Click subscribe now. When a child is experiencing this type of anxiety because their foundation has been ripped out from under them, so what you don't want to do is try to minimize the circumstance, like saying, it's fine, don't worry about it. People go through this all the time and they're always fine, you'll be fine. Don't tell them those types of things. Don't tell them stuff like, well, we're going to have fun just us and it'll be better just us anyway. They don't want to hear that it's going to be better without their other parent with them a lot of the time. That's like opening up a wound. They want everybody to be together. Don't minimize the circumstance by making it seem commonplace. This is a big deal for them. Now, on the flip side of that, you don't want to overinflate the circumstance by adding increased drama, because that's not going to help, and by talking to your child about all the bad things that that other person did that you are now distancing yourself from. That's not the burden that the child needs to carry right then. Maybe later in life, when they're a little bit older, you can talk about some of those things in more of a candid way that doesn't seem so painful right at the time. Now, if the child does need to talk about things, then obviously we want to have some time to open up. But at first, the big don't do's are don't minimize it and don't start to unload your baggage about your trauma and your drama on the child. You are going to have to handle it on your own. You're going to have to see a therapist, talk to family members and friends. You're going to have to be talking about the circumstance when it's not a time that you're around the child. So this brings me to a list of things that you might want to do. Number one thing is make sure that when you talk to that old partner or to other people about circumstances that aren't very positive circumstances, that you do it out of earshot of the child. Don't let the child be processing all the drama all the time. That just increases their anxiety over their circumstances, and they start wondering, why did this have to happen to me? Why is my life so bad? Why is my dad so angry? Or whatever it is that they might be dealing with. So help the child accept the circumstance by having the conversations when the children are not around. And do not forget that they have like satellite dishes on the side of their heads. You could be in another room, another level of the house. They might be hearing things through the heat vent. Okay? So really, truly do it in private when they are not around. Another thing that you want to do is you want to explain to the child that this is a circumstance that people do feel pain in, that there's emotional pain, there's social pain, there's hardships sometimes in relationships because you don't see each other as much. You need to lay that out, not in a way that feels burdensome or oppressive, but make sure that the child understands this is hard. It's hard for everybody, and if you feel like it's hard, you're pretty much normal because this is hard. And then start making a plan for how you are going to deal with the hard. Talk to the child about their feelings of anxiousness. Talk to them about how you understand that life feels different now and it makes them worry a little bit if they'll ever be happy. Say that because that's what they're worrying about. And then say, let's make a plan. Let's make a happiness plan. We can always choose happiness even if things aren't perfect. And say, so we are going to have a word to say, a cue phrase that reminds us to be happy. You pick whatever word or phrase makes sense to you. Maybe the word is just seriously happiness. I love happiness. You know, something like that. Just so that you guys remember as you're going through the day-to-day where things are different and depression might set in, that wait, I can choose happiness, I can pick it. What are we going to be happy about right now? We're going to be happy about this fork that I'm eating with at dinner, that one of the prongs is bent and it just looks silly. So that makes me happy. I'm going to laugh at it. You have to start looking at the positive, the good things. That's so important. Make a plan for it. Also make a plan for when the bad and sad moments come and the depression moments come, how you will get each other's attention and how your child can come and talk to you about the circumstances or the struggles that they're experiencing. Let them open up to you. and share with you the things that they need to share with you. You are the best therapist for them, unless they simply won't open up to you. But hopefully you can cross over that barrier, because that's what parent is supposed to be. Talk to them about what's going on, and then when they feel those bad feelings, those sad feelings, those hard feelings, help them learn how to acknowledge them and then drop the subject and to move on. You've got to help them become resilient, because this is one of those moments where they need to develop resiliency. They can develop past the anxiety. The anxiety can be temporary, especially if you do not coddle it, but you keep them moving forward. Keep teaching them skills they need for communication. Keep correcting them in a good, connective, self-governed way. Keep the home calm, open. Talk to each other. You may need help with calmness. If you've enjoyed this video, I'm pretty sure you're going to love my Calm Parenting Toolkit. So in the description below this video, there is a link to the Teaching Self-Government Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is a mini course that is a beginning for your journey for learning self-government. There's 10 tools there for how to be calm when someone else isn't, and how to help a person get calm without losing your calmness at the same time. You may need those. You may need a calm plan for you and your child as you go through this difficult time. So click on the link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit now.